Hi, my name is Carrie Fry, and welcome to Nicole's Nook. Welcome all. I appreciate so much for you to take time out of your busy day, your busy life, to be here in this space with me. And today I want to talk about something that is like everywhere all the time in our face: consumerism. So today I want to give you some tips and tricks and remind you of some things that as a Christian, how you should view consumerism. And let's talk about this overconsumption that has us in a chokehold, okay? I do have my notes on my iPad here just so I can keep myself straight and make sure I'm giving you all the information that I want to share today. So let's get started, shall we? So just some things to keep in mind. I am going to share some Bible verses because I don't like to just talk with my opinion. I do like to back it up with Bible evidence, just so that I make sure that I'm always sharing what God has for me to share with you all, and that I'm not just speaking on my own understanding. So here are some Bible verses to keep in mind as you prepare for the new year, and just overall to help you prevent overconsumption. So let's just talk about what God tells us about gifts, okay? In James chapter 1 verse 17, it says, "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows." So this is the NIV version, just so I can make sure that the translation is as clear as possible. In this version, it talks about God not shifting, and trends are shifting every time we get on our phones, whether we're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, out in the world, even watching TV. The ads are always trying to sell us something. So we think these trends that are always convincing us to buy things, they're ever changing, but our God is never changing. He is the same. He is consistent. He stands on his word. He stands on his promises. So we can always expect anything that comes from him is going to be long lasting. Where these things that we're being advertised to buy are cheap in quality and expensive in price. So the value isn't even transferable. But just remember that the things that God has for you, the value is transferable. So in Luke, I'm laughing because this verse is not literal, but it almost should be. So Luke chapter 12 verse 33 says, "Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near or no moth destroys." So this verse reminds us that these possessions are very temporary, and that a true treasure is going to be stored up in heaven. So making sure that we're just not buying things just to have them, or because we see someone else have them, that we actually want them, we actually need them, and that we're actually going to use them for their intended purpose for as long as we possibly can. Luke chapter 12 verse 15 NIV says, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist of an abundance of possessions." So every time we want to go buy a new cup, a new top, a new shoe, a new purse, and I'm saying things because I am guilty of it. I'm working on my consumerism and making sure that I'm buying things that I actually need, that I'm going to like, that I'm going to consistently go back to, because I do feel like it is important for me to be intentional with my spending. Deuteronomy chapter 15 verse 11, which says, "There will always be poor people in the land. Therefore, I command you to be open-handed towards your fellow Israelites who are poor and needy in your land." So I know for me, when I overconsume, I'm not thinking about anybody else's needs or wants. I'm thinking about my own fleshly desires, what I see someone else have, what I feel like is going to make my life better, when I could better use my time and resources to help the people who actually need things in my community. When we think about wealth and possessions of things, we need to remember that wealth is equivalent to generosity. My mom actually does a very good job of this, and I'm so very proud of her. She has a closet at our church called Carol's Boutique, and she accepts donations of women's, men, children clothing, hygiene products, household essentials. And twice a year, our church has a giveaway for free to anyone in the community, where they give away these products for free. They do provide food during that program, and I think that's just the greatest example. Like anytime I'm like, oh, I don't want this, I'll just donate it to Goodwill, or I'll just throw it away. Mom's like, no, somebody could use this. So I always get on her for like having an abundance of things just in the house that are like what I call taking up space. But for her, she's just making sure that she's thinking about those in need and not just herself, and not just and helping and checking me. Okay, she be checking me on myself and reminding me to make sure that I give back all the time. So with that being said, it's not just enough to know that you're over consuming. Navigating that on a day-to-day can be very tricky, especially if it's a habit that you've had all your life. I've been a shopper ever since I knew what money was. My parents shopped for me. Like, I saw what it was like to buy lots of clothing at one time, and that's not how I want to continue to live my life. I really would love to go minimalist, but I know that at my core that's not going to make me happy. So I need to find the balance. So here are some tips and tricks that I use and that I'm going to share with you to help find the balance. Remember, God is consistent, trends are not. So referring back to that Bible verse, just making sure that these trends are not your life. You're not letting these trends tell you what you need and tell you what you want. You have to think for yourself. And social media does not allow space for us to think for ourselves. So for example, me, I was buying lotions and perfumes that I knew irritated my skin, but because they were trending, I went and purchased. And then I had to then go to my dermatologist to get creams and remedies to fix what it was. So then I couldn't even use these products that I bought. So not only did I waste my money, I irritated my skin. I had to spend more money because of these trends. So I had to start thinking for myself, like, Carrie, this body wash is gonna break you out. This soap is gonna break you out. This lotion is gonna have you scratching from here to there. So I had to be real with myself. What works for me? So I had to be consistent with buying things that work for me. Remembering like my household name items and not just hopping on the trends. Number 2, check yourself before you debt yourself. Do you even have the funds to buy what it is you're buying? Don't ever use your last to hop on a trend. Okay, you need to make sure that what you're buying is within your budget. Give yourself a hygiene budget. I give myself a $50 hygiene budget a month, and most of the time that just covers necessities that I'm running out of. So I don't give myself too much wiggle room to go and buy trendy things when it comes to hygiene, because that's where my problem is. I'm a skin curl girly down, okay, and I need not be, because I have acne prone skin, if you could not tell. I have very sensitive skin. I will break out with a quickness, and it takes so long to recover. So make sure you have the money to buy what you're buying. Number 3, don't chase an image. I know that sometimes we think we see people with items and we think that that thing is making their life better. It's not the item. That's just their lifestyle, and that's just who they are. You need to figure out what's going to make your life better, or what element of their life is it that you're trying to mimic, and don't buy the product to mimic it. Number 4, buy from brands and companies that align with your morals and principles. I do want to become a more conscious consumer when it comes to buying from brands and companies that align with what I believe. I know there was like a trend of boycotting a particular coffee brand that I previously loved so much. I had all the cups, the mugs, the gift cards, all of it. You name it, I had it. I was there every day before work. Something transpired and I was like, that's not right. So I quit giving them my money, because in order to fund that, they have to have customers that are paying them. You got me? We right here? Remember that. And then another trend happened where everybody was like, okay, we're gonna go back to this coffee brand because y'all was really tripping. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. Spend your money where your beliefs align. Number 5, keep yourself accountable and track your expenses. So where is your habit? Mine lies in cosmetics and food. A meal, I will pay good money for some food, okay? And I ought not be that way because there's food at home. I found myself spending at least $100 out to eat, and in that same week I was going to the grocery store multiple days, spending like $57.62. I remember that trip. That's why that number is very specific. Going grocery shopping in that same week, and I'm like, I'm not cooking at home, so not only am I spending money to eat, which I shouldn't be doing, but I'm also spending $200 a week on groceries that I'm not using. My produce is going bad. It's going bad. Cosmetics. I know it works for my skin. I know it does not. And yet, I've gotten better about this. So let's remember that as we consume, that all good and perfect things that we need and should have come from God.